Hello. Okay, Renfield. I've really been looking forward to this movie. It was one of my honorable mentions in my anticipated movies of 2023. If you want to check that video out, I will leave a link by you somewhere. But you know, you've got Nicolas Cage hamming it up as Dracula. I'm sold. It looks crazy, it looked fun, it looked violent. So yeah, I was really looking forward to Renfield. Now, I had a good time with this movie. It was fun. Is it great? No. Is it terrible? No, it isn't. But it is a crazy 90 minutes of Renfield, the character Renfield, just trying to escape the hold of Dracula. And that's about it. You know, the main theme of the movie is these characters who are escaping or surviving a toxic or abusive relationship. And I really liked that aspect of the story, but everything else around that is just this weightless fluff. I'm going to call it fluff. But for me, I was interested in the characters' journeys purely because of the focus on the themes of surviving and escaping an abusive relationship with someone. Nicolas Cage as Dracula. He's great in this. You know, you can see he's having a blast and he's enjoying himself. You know, there's this moment in the beginning that has them in black and white recreating the original Dracula. It's in the trailers and he just looks fantastic. It made me actually want to watch a version of that. I really dug the makeup in this movie as well. It's pretty gruesome and I liked how it was all practical. Like, there was no real CGI elements. It had this sort of 50s, 60s horror makeup vibe to it and I really dug that. It really sort of fit the tone I felt in which they were going with the movie. Practical for me has so much more effect and impact than CGI. Like, there's a moment, for example, in which Dracula does something with his body and it's all makeup, but it made me wince and made me weak. Like, I'm not great with blood, not real blood anyway, but because it was a practical effect, it had more impact on me. And I know that if that had been CGI, it wouldn't have had the same effect. So I really appreciated sort of the makeup aspect of it. Like, there is a lot of CGI in this film and it's okay. It's serviceable. I feel like there are moments in regards to the character of Dracula where they could have easily have CGI'd it all up, but they actually went down sort of the makeup route and the practical route, and I really appreciated that. But yeah, going back to Nicolas Cage as Dracula in this role, I absolutely loved him in this film. You see many of the characters that he's played over the years in one scene at times, and I just loved seeing him do what Cage does, you know, this sort of like wild, zany kind of guy. And I just loved it. You know, there's this one moment in the kitchen, and it's in the trailers, and it just had me smiling because you could see that Nicolas Cage was just sort of let off the leash and was like, just be Nicolas Cage, just go wild, just do your thing. And it was great, but in that one kind of moment, you sort of see glimpses of characters that he has played over years, and it was great to see. I absolutely loved Nicolas Cage in this film, and he is one of the highlights of this movie. And in fact, I felt like we didn't have enough of Nicolas Cage as Dracula in this movie. I wanted more of him because, yes, you've got that kind of the character struggle of escaping, you know, this toxic relationship, but everything else around that was just this sort of empty, weightless fluff that was just going on, that was just happening. And so, yeah, I kind of, as a result of that, I really needed more of Nicolas Cage. Nicholas Hoult as Renfield is good. I really liked him, but it's Awkwafina as Rebecca Quincy, an aggressive traffic cop working for the New Orleans Police Department. She, along with Cage, were the standouts for me. She was great in delivering the comedy. It wasn't too, oh look, I'm being funny. It just felt naturally funny. I really dug her, and it's Awkwafina and Nicolas Cage that really lifted this film for me and got me sort of really kind of, they were the reasons why I kind of got invested, mainly is because of their performances. They were really, really good. And the film, it's got lots of blood and it's got lots of violence and some great scenes involving arms and ripping people's faces off, which I fucking loved. Like, this is one moment and the noise that this person makes, like, and it's just like, it's so all of a sudden, and I was like, yes. But to be honest with you, I don't think there was enough of that kind of humour, and I needed more of that kind of humour. Like, I feel like the humour throughout the movie was very uneven in sort of the styles, and when I'm sort of expecting something perhaps a little bit more edgier, it just wasn't really consistent. The sort of the tone of the movie in terms of the comedy, I don't think was that consistent. But yeah, the violence is over the top and very cartoon-like. Like, the blood is CGI, but it's also very animated. Like, they push the fact that it's not real and it's over the top. But I feel it fits in perfectly for the type of comedy horror I felt they wanted to make. And for me personally, it might not really be for me, this type of comedy. But I still couldn't help but have a good time. It was enjoyable, but I think a lot of that was because of Awkwafina and Nicolas Cage. And to just reflect back on what I previously said about the humour not being quite, or the comedy not being quite consistent, overall this movie did feel a little bit messy in how they brought everything together, to a point where you wonder if the director and the writers, if they actually knew how they really wanted to tell this story. But, you know, it kind of just holds together. The film does hold together okay. But that first 5 to 10 minutes I felt was very messy and very clumsy in how they sort of set up the characters and the story. And just the overall experience has that feeling about it of they sort of had different kind of ideas and views in how they wanted to go with the comedy, with the violence, and it at times felt a little bit out of place, but kind of just held together somehow. And I did, it was fun. So yeah, Renfield for me, it was fun, it was enjoyable, but, you know, somewhat forgettable as well. Like, I really wanted more Dracula. It's a good time. For me, it had this sort of hook in regards to the escaping and surviving toxic and abusive relationships and just taking control of your life. And I really like that aspect of the character's story. It's very silly, it's over the top, it's got cartoon humour, and yes, like Cage, I just needed more Nicolas Cage. He was fabulous. And, you know, yeah, that focus on Renfield's character trying to break away from Dracula I thought was very interesting, but everything around that was just forgettable fluff. Like, it's enjoyable, but every other character and side story is just there to fill in the gaps. Like, it's like pointless filler. So everything else around the relationship between Dracula and Renfield, it's almost just like this sort of just forgettable filler. And you've got Awkwafina, who I think is wasted in the movie. And again, I would have liked to have had a bit more of her in this film. She is fantastic. So the film has a lot of the right elements in it, but I just don't think they kind of knew sort of what direction ultimately they wanted to go in. And so as a result, ends up having that slightly messy feel about it. So yeah, that's enough rambling from me about Renfield. That's Renfield. It's fun, but, you know, don't go in expecting something fantastic. I mean, you go in to enjoy it to some degree, and it depends what kind of comedy you're into, but like this was a bit of a mishmash when it comes to humour and comedy. So yeah, they are my thoughts on Renfield, and I will be giving Renfield a 6 out of 10. Yep. They are my thoughts on Renfield, but what did you guys think? Did you agree or disagree with anything I said? Then please let me know below and let's get discussion going. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to see future reviews from a Welsh geek just ramble on, then please hit that subscribe button. It would mean an awful lot. I got a few reviews planned coming up, Tetris being one of them. Now Tetris has been out for a few weeks on streaming, Apple streaming, so I got a review planned for that. We've got Evil Dead Rise releasing next weekend. I'm really looking forward to that movie. It wasn't really on my radar until I've seen the recent trailers, and I do think the trailers showed too much, but I'm really liking the vibe and the atmosphere that I'm getting from those trailers and that kind of creepiness as well. So yeah, really looking forward to Evil Dead Rise. So yeah, thanks for watching, I really appreciate it, and I will be seeing you guys soon.